Hey everybody, and what's up fellow Bat fans? Steve here from Common Collected, and if you grew up in the 90s like I did, you know that one of the best shows of all time was Batman, the animated series. From having one of the best heroes in the Bat, to having one of the best rogues galleries around. These were the characters you wanted an action figure of when you were a kid, and where you're going to be rebuying them as an adult. So with all the different variations and paint schemes, I thought I'd show you how I built my definitive collection. So let's take a look. So what better place to start with the man, the myth, the legend himself, the Dark Knight, Bruce Wayne, the Batman. Of course there are so many versions, but this is the version that you're going to want, the legendary combat belt Batman. Unfortunately, I do not have all the accessories, the handcuffs, the additional throwing batarang. I did manage to get the grappling line once in a second-hand toy shop. Let's take a look at one of the later versions. This was, I believe, in the same wave. I don't know about you, but when I think of Batman, I don't think silver and parachute gear and belts and harnesses. Head looks great, the capes look great. You know you already have like 12 of these capes in your collection anyway, but this is the one you're going to want. So as much as I feel like every Batman needs his grappling hook or his batarang, I don't feel like it's absolutely necessary to have that in the collection when you can just have the man himself. So let's move him over here. And let's get the unnecessary accessory and the inferior version off the table. So what's a Dark Knight without a boy wonder? The next figure I want to show you is my definitive version of Robin. This is also from the first wave, I believe. He had come with a hang glider, and he had also come with, as I'm showing off here, he had this sort of armor chest plate and like rocket boosters and a hand control for, I guess, his gun for taking out villains kindly from the sky. If you remember the Batman Returns version that I also used to have as a kid, you can see how similar they are, from the ninja boots to the red shirt and the belt to the buckling at the top. But thank goodness they nailed it with this head sculpt, the smirk, and later versions had come out. I would say this is more of the red Robin. And then we had another from different box sets that had more of a saturated color. And you can see some of the differences in the greens, in the reds. But to me, just having that really nice, almost minty green as opposed to that more old school green, this makes it my definitive selection. So let's add him next to his partner in crime fighting and move on to the next one. Now, as great as Batman is, who's the man behind the Batman to help patch him up, to give him advice, to help him with research? That, of course, is Alfred Pennyworth, his trusty butler. Now, this would have come out later. This might have even been around the new Batman Adventures time. How can you not have an Alfred? I still don't think this is the 100% definitive one. If I remember correctly, didn't he have white hair in the cartoon instead of this nice black hair? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's how it is. Having the most important accessory of all time, here we have his serving tray, complete with a cup, a napkin, and potentially a lobster claw, a lobster tail, and what looks like a rolled up millipede, with the amazing action-adventure feature of servitude. The Batman is ready for action. That's a must-have. So we have this side of justice from Wayne Manor, but what's Batman without some help on the streets? Without Jim Gordon. And unfortunately, they were very few and far between, and in my opinion, no definitive version is to be found. Out of desperation, I came up with this Gordon. This is the only one that I'm aware of, other than the high-end ones that came out much later. I believe this is from the new Batman Adventures. And it's just not the same without the brown trench coat, without the bigger mustache, without just looking like J. Jonah Jameson with spectacles. This is, for better or for worse, my Jim Gordon. He would have come with two comically oversized black pistols. I do not have them, but these are the same molds from a Joker that would come later. And as you can see, this won't quite fit in his holster right here. As it is, they barely fit in his hands. So here we have Gordon with his stand-in comically oversized pistols, putting both Dirty Harry and Charles Bronson to shame. This is the true death wish and the Gordon for my shelf. Now, when it comes to justice, like father, like daughter, my next character that I'm going to introduce is Batgirl. This has been a very difficult choice for me. This is my, for now, definitive version of animated series Batgirl. This is the first version that came out, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but I do not remember her wearing this outfit. In a much later box set, this one came out, and I also have this version. I gotta say, I like the black, but if you're going for cartoon accuracy, she really had the gray outfit. That being said, she also had a blue inner cape, and if I recall correctly, black or blue gloves, and boots as well, I believe. I have no idea if you can break off the head, hair, cape combination and maybe mix them together, but I'm sure not going to try it. So I'm going with the gray overall as my definitive version of Batgirl. Now, in a rare instance of potentially having two of the same character, what is Batman and Robin without a Dick Grayson and a Bruce Wayne? Now, this is not the first version of Bruce Wayne, but as you probably know, there was snap-on armor so that you can change him into the Batman, and of course change Dick Grayson into Robin. This version, the original, had the red shirt, and the yellow came out in a later line. So this is one of those instances where how can you have a Batman without a Bruce Wayne? How can you have a Dick Grayson without a Robin? You got the strange addition of arm blades and rockets and radar dishes, but hey, you got the mask and you got the cowl. So these are must-haves for the shelf. Skirting the side of justice now, we have Selina Kyle, the Catwoman. And this is such an incredible figure, and she had such cool accessories. From the whip that she came with to Isis, this is just so great. I personally did not need the giant cat claws, and I do not think these are necessary. Great to have, but having Isis is just so cool and so important for her character. And I will say there were later versions in other packs, and as you can possibly see, this one has a much lighter belt. This is kind of a very almost yellow tint, whereas this is almost a red-orange. You might also notice the important detail of Isis here is gray and here is black. I took a look at some stills from the cartoon and I'm seeing a lot more of the gray. Not to mention it's a little bit creepy that this one doesn't seem to have pupils. So, sticking with the original. Now the other side of the coin to Batman, not Two-Face in this case, but of course Mark Hamill's The Joker. This is the version I feel like you have to have. He used to have lots of little gimmicks and different outfits, but how could you not just want that one? This one came with the water squirting gun where you squeeze on the pack, it would spray water, and it would also have a little gas mask that you could apply to that smiling face. But this is just so cool and such a perfect likeness. Now, if you like a different look to him, there were some awesome ones with the trench coat, the comically oversized Tommy gun, and this one with just creepy dark eyes. But the coats are really cool, but I still have to go with the classic one from the first wave. This is the one you gotta have. Now, who better for the number 2 slot of the Rogues Gallery than Harvey Dent, Two-Face himself. This is actually mine from my childhood. Two-Face was always one of my favorite bad guys. And this, of course, is definitely the one to get. There were some later ones, but this is certainly the best one. He came with what I'm assuming would be his coin on a necklace that reminded me and my brothers a lot of the Sheriff of Nottingham's from the Kenner line. He had a necklace as well. He also came with this, again, this comically oversized dual missile launcher with the 2 options of firing or safety. Which one will it be? This is the one, you gotta have it for your shelf, but I don't think you necessarily need the giant missile and the launcher. The coin, maybe. I wish his hand was like this so he could actually hold it instead of extending a handshake to his buddies. Soaring in on leather wings next, we have the giant and the awesome Man-Bat. One of the characters that I didn't know even existed before the cartoon, but what an awesome figure it was. With his really cool flapping action, his head tilt. He would have come with a little pair of, I don't know if it was handcuffs or a little grappling line that you could put around his ankle and have Batman dangling from him as he soared through the skies. I would love to have it. I love the little rope accessories for Batman to hang around, but not necessarily for this really cool figure. Next up, from the Iceberg Lounge, we have Mr. Cobblepot himself, the Penguin. This was such a great likeness and a welcome change from the previous versions. This would have come with the top style umbrella, the launcher. I'm not a huge fan of this giant gimmick. I wish he just had a folded up umbrella, you know, just anything they could use as a gun instead of this giant spinning top. Later they made different versions of him, and as you can see here, this one has a blue tie as opposed to the red one, but I'm going for the classics, red all the way. So riddle me this, and guess who our next character is. It is Mr. Nigma, aka the Riddler. There were other versions with different colored coats, but I'm again going for the classic original animated series line of the Riddler. It would have come with a giant rocket launcher. He had a cane. I really wish it had it. I do not have it. Unfortunately, it was just a ball cane instead of the classic question mark, but I believe it was screen accurate, so correct me if I'm wrong. But I also do not have the missile. But then again, do you need this giant question mark? It kind of looks nice to him as a little trophy and not necessarily as a giant missile launcher. Definitely going in the collection. So of all the freaky episodes of Batman the Animated Series, my brothers and I will still talk about time to time the Clayface episode. So this was an absolute must-get for me. This was the original version, and I was actually really excited to have this super dense giant Clayface, but I was very surprised that he feels like a dog toy. He's very hollow, he's very light, he's very rubbery. You put his mace and squeeze him, and out it goes, and into our collection.
You want this?
Down he goes. Representing the environmental aspect of Batman's Rogues Gallery, Poison Ivy. I was very excited. This was one of the last ones I've gotten. I'm having a hard time finding her in the very nice colors, the screen accurate one. There were quite a few different versions of her. There was one with bare legs. There was this one with more yellow greenish. It almost looks like a green giant vegetable commercial. There was another type of green legging, but this is the one I really wanted. I really want to find that plant that she comes with the grabbing claws. I really want the crossbow because she had that in the cartoon, but if you're giving them away, I'll take them, but this is the one you're going to want. One of the most loved episodes and critically acclaimed of the series introduced Mr. Freeze. And I love this figure so much, from the domed head to the not necessarily screen accurate water squirting or ice squirting in this case. He just had the pistol in the cartoon, but this just looks so great even with the tubes. It would have come with an ice missile that can also fire, but that just looks so cool, even just sticking out of the gun like that. There were some variations. Here we have the inexplicably green one, and there was a much more saturated one here as well, but I have to go with this one. This one is awesome. I was also really excited to get this one. This is Jonathan Crane, the Scarecrow. And just look how awesome he is. And if you'll permit me to use my phone for a second, look at that light piping. This is just amazing. This is like Jawa R2-D2 level quality light piping. And it just works so well with selling his fear toxin and his abilities. Unfortunately, I do not have his scythe, his reaper. It would have been great to have it whipping around in his hands. I would actually really like that crow as well. It just would look so good on him. And if you really want to have some fun, go ahead and give him Catwoman's whip and send it for a spin. Woo! Not necessarily good, not necessarily evil, but here we have the Gray Ghost. This was not essential, but I just kind of really liked him, based off the episode with the Gray Ghost and the inspiration in the cartoon for the Batman, voiced by Adam West. I just thought this would be really great. This, I think, was from the DC Universe line, but I had to have him. Not worried about any weapons with these two fists, but let's add him as an honorary member. Is he raising the roof for more venom, or is he about to break the bat? Here we have Bane, and watch out. Just such a cool giant toy. Make sure he has the little tube and his arm connection for pumping his venom into his head. I don't think it's a must-have accessory, but here we have his chunk of steel to throw at people, but as long as you got that tube and the venom's ready to flow, you're good to go here. It was a big rock and a gray Croc. We have Killer Croc here with his somewhat adorable, not alligator Loki, but I guess this is his sewer friend. Not essential, but I really love Killer Croc. I'm seeing a lot of them that have the yellowing face because it's a much softer plastic. He's got the action punch feature. So with his gray skin, his action punch feature, this is the version to get. There was a later repaint with green skin. I kind of like that this one has eyeballs instead of just the burning yellow eyes, but this is the one to get in gray. And what's awesome is combined with the other four, you can create the poker table setup for the Almost Got Him episode. Straight from the Lazarus pit, but is Ra's al Ghul immortal? Or is it Ra's al Ghul? You tell me. This is the version that I like the most. It reminds me most of in the cartoon, even though this is much later. From the original animated series line, there is this armored version with the sword and the missile launcher that, while they're cool, I still really like this version. And as a bonus character, let's get his daughter in here, Talia. And good luck getting her to stand up. I'll try for a second. With zero leg articulation, this was from a later box set. This would have come with a pistol that I unfortunately do not have, but she's really cool to add to it, and to potentially birth Damien for future adventures, you gotta add these two to the collection. So keeping up with the femme fatales, here we have the Joker's henchwoman and a very popular character, Harley Quinn herself. And what's so cool is that the animated series was, I believe, the first appearance, and her first cartoon and comic appearance was in a comic rendition of the episode. So I believe this was the first action figure of her. And there were, of course, later repaints. This one just a much glossier, darker, sort of faded red and black. But she came with two really cool, appropriately goofy accessories. We have the giant bang gun here with the flag. We have the giant extendo punching glove for taking out anyone who stands in her way. But that being said, gotta go for the classic red and black. Spoiler alert, if you have not seen Mask of the Phantasm, wrapping it up with the final woman on my list, we have the Phantasm from the movie line. Not essential if you're just following the cartoons, but this has become such an important part of the animated history, with the giant claw hand and swiping action to the removable mask here. You can look away. Oh my god! Sadly, I do not have her smoke gun. I would love to get it. That's very essential for the mystique of the character and fading into the darkness, but if you can grab her, I would definitely recommend her. We're winding down and we're going to do a couple later figures. Here we have the Mad Hatter. Was a great character in the cartoon, and I think even more disturbing in the Serious House on Serious Earth graphic novel. And I just really wanted a cool version of him. He's got the staff, he's got the mind controlling gun, and he has this really cool accessory of this robot rabbit. And with the extra little detail of having the Batmobile and a sticker on his back. This is just all around an excellent version of him and a must-have for your collection. This one was a tricky one for me to track down at a decent price. This was also only from a later box set. We have the Ventriloquist and Scarface. He has very little articulation, just the arms and the head, nothing on Scarface, nothing for the legs here. But he looks really cool, and if you can track him down for a decent price, I say grab him. So So as you can probably tell, I'm very proud of my Batman the Animated Series action figure collection. So what do you think? Do you think there are any better versions? Any other figures or characters that I entirely left out? Let us know in the comments, and if you like other vintage Batman figures, check out this video where we were looking at a vintage collection at a convention. Thanks for tuning in, and we hope to see you in the next episode of Common Collected.